Hey everybody! Welcome to my CBD 101 Facebook Live event tonight. I'm going to wait a second or two before I introduce myself and get started. I will be doing 3 different videos tonight, so I thought I would chop them up into smaller videos so people can pick and choose what they want to watch. So I'm just going to give it another second or two. I see some people are jumping on already, so hello, whoever's on. I know I've got the replay option on here as well, so wait a second or two. If you're on, give me a wave so I know you're on. I can make sure I can see the comments coming through, and then I'll get started. That way I don't miss anybody. And I'll do an introduction here in just a sec. Hello, everybody. I see a heart. Yay. Are there comments? I'm not seeing any comments yet, but I see hearts, so I know that you guys are on. So yay. Thank you for watching tonight. My goal this evening, I've had so many people ask me, even in the company that I'm in, for information. I've done a ton of training. There we go. Hi, Yvonne. Thank you. Hey, guys. Awesome. Okay, cool. I'm on. I think it's really important right now to get information out to people, be it affiliates with CBD oil companies, be it customers, doctors, medical field, about CBD. There are so many different things to look for when you're looking for a CBD oil. How do you use it? How does it work? What's in it? Who do you trust? What should and should not be in it? I've spent about 2 years researching CBD overall, and now I am an advocate, an educator. I do a lot of training. I think it's incredibly important to make sure you know what you're looking for. So it looks like, wow, everybody's on. Awesome, cool. Thanks, you guys. I have people ask me all the time, where have I learned my information? I did complete a certification course on physiology, CBD, and the endocannabinoid system. I have read every research journal, article, book you can come across. I have been training. Local pharmacies have called me in to train them. Chiropractors' offices have called me in to train. The company has sent me different locations to do training for affiliates, do customer events. I've done over 100 info events in the past year, just anywhere I can go or that I'm asked to go as far as training people. So I'm confident in the information that I've acquired through my 2 years of training. I will make note at the very beginning of this, I think it's very important to know, as an affiliate with a CBD company, and I am with one, I am not allowed to give any medical claims. I am not allowed to say that this cures, heals, eliminates. I have to be very, very compliant and careful with that. So I'm not allowed to answer specific medical questions. And I've got a ton of information I want to get through tonight. So if you're asking me questions during the live and I don't get to them, I will be sure to check on them when I'm done tonight, and I will go back through and answer your questions. I will talk about the company that I'm with. I've got 3 videos tonight. Hopefully you all saw what I posted earlier about which video would include what bit of information. I figure maybe not everybody wants to hear this section. Maybe you want to hear the business side. Maybe you want to hear how to find a good quality product, or maybe you want to find this and not that. So I split it up into 3 different videos, and then that'll give me a quick break in between each one as well. So lots to cover. So I think that's super cool. And I wrote notes down so I don't forget anything. I want to make sure I give everybody the right information. So with that being said, I'm taking a look right now. I thought I would start, most importantly, the very basics on history of hemp in our country and how it has changed the health of the citizens, especially in the United States with the ban on hemp way back when. I'm going to cover what is CBD, what is the endocannabinoid system, and how they work together. Like I said, if there's any questions, I will hold off on answering them during so that I can get through all my information and not get sidetracked, but I will surely go through and answer any questions after I'm done with all 3 videos tonight. So thank you guys for jumping on. I'm so excited. The first thing I always like to talk about is the history of cannabis in general. There's a lot of confusion out there between hemp and marijuana and cannabis and what is what's the difference, what do you need to know? So in a nutshell, very basic explanation, cannabis is what I call the master plant, and it has 2 species. There is the hemp species and there's the marijuana species, 2 separate plants that are derived from like the same master plant, if you will. Marijuana is known for its psychoactive effects, meaning it causes a high or hallucinations. Has been used a lot recreationally. It was banned back in the early 1930s, and hemp was lumped with that. They were all banned in this country. So your marijuana is high in the cannabinoid of THC, which is what gives you, no pun intended, the high feeling, being high in THC. It's low in CBD. Those are just two of what are called cannabinoids found in the cannabis plant. Your hemp plant is the opposite. It's high in the CBD cannabinoid and it's very low in THC. So you get the medical benefit of the plant without the hallucinations, without the psychoactive effect. That is literally the difference. People ask me all the time, what is the difference between hemp seed oil and CBD, right? I forget people don't know this. I have people call me all the time and say, well, I went to the local box store down the road and I got a gallon of CBD for $29.99. They actually did not get CBD. They got hemp oil. Hemp seed oil does not contain cannabinoids. The cannabinoids are what our body requires, which I'll go over tonight. That's what makes everything work the right way. Your hemp seed oil is great as far as you can cook with it. You can use it just like coconut oil. There are health benefits to it. It's rich in omega-3 and omega-6, and it has amazing anti-inflammatory properties. So there are health benefits to it, just not specifically the health benefits that come from the other cannabinoids in the plant, such as CBD. So that's your very basic, what's the difference? I'm looking to see the history of hemp. I've read a ton of books, all from PhDs and psychologists, professors, that sort of thing. Hemp was literally used, cannabis in general was literally used for everything on this planet, from medicine. You'll find old cannabis bottles in different apothecary locations, which is really cool. It was used for plastic, metal, gasoline, your rope, your paper, you name it. Every single thing that our ancestors were using came from the cannabis plant and the hemp plant. Back in the day of war, World War I and World War II, they were using, well, World War I, they were using the hemp plant for rope in the war and their clothing. It's very strong fiber. It's very resistant and easy to grow. You can grow it in pretty much any soil, any climate. It's pest resistant naturally, so you don't have to use pesticides on it. Very, very hardy plant. It grows about 15 feet tall, kind of tall and narrow, and the marijuana plant's opposite. It's short and kind of stubby, so there's a slight difference in appearance to the plants. But this hemp plant was used for literally everything. Ford Motor Company did one of the first bodies of their vehicles was made with hemp fiber, 20 times stronger than the steel that we use today, and it ran off of hemp ethanol. Environmentally safe, non-toxic, didn't pollute the environment. Literally used for absolutely everything, which I find just fascinating. We did a ban on it back in 1937. We decided to come up with this reefer madness, and all of a sudden everybody's hallucinating, and it's a gateway drug that's coming in from over the border, and there's a whole big stigma to it, and we banned it and came up with the Industrial Revolution. So instead of this one plant that could take care of everything in this country, we eliminated that and we created jobs for economic growth. We created all of these different industries: steel, your gasoline, your pharmaceuticals, your plastic, your paper, you name it. No longer we were relying on this one plant. So the idea was economic growth and development in the country, which I understand. What they didn't realize was our food source, all the way up until 1937, actually grazed on hemp, did not graze on what it grazes on now. It was not corn and soy and, oh gosh, grain and everything else that they eat now. It was literally hemp. The importance to that is that hemp is where all your cannabinoids come from, right? So if you think way back when, if there's a cow out in a pasture grazing on some hemp and the cow gets slaughtered for its meat, your great-grandmother goes out and eats, I'm going to pretend they ate cheeseburgers back then. I don't know that they did that for sure, but the meat from that cow, when they go back and they eat it, up until 1937, that food source was rich in CBD and all the other cannabinoids that come from the hemp plant. Why is that important, right? What does that mean for us now? That is where your endocannabinoid system comes in. So CBD, the actual cannabinoid in hemp, the ones that are being researched, there's up to 120 different cannabinoids in the hemp plant. CBD, what they're finding, has the most medical benefits to anything on this planet with a vertebrae, which is why this one oil, the CBD oil, literally works for your dog, your cat, your child, your grandmother, you, your livestock. Anything on this planet that has a vertebrae has what's called an endocannabinoid system, ECS for short. I'm not going to lie, it took me a while to be able to pronounce that the right way. It was a little challenging. I was not getting the lingo down just correctly. So endocannabinoid system is what we all have. What they found in the 1960s is when CBD was discovered. They were doing some research on THC and the psychoactive effects it has on the brain, and they stumbled upon CBD way back in the 1960s. It wasn't until the 1990s that a Hebrew professor named Robert Mechoulam located and identified this endocannabinoid system in people, which I find extremely fascinating. So this system, a very, very, very basic way of explaining the endocannabinoid system without getting real sciencey, is I like to compare it to your control box, your master fuse box in your house. So you've got this control panel in your house that literally branches out to every single outlet in your house, in your garage, the exterior of your home, and anything you plug in it feeds off of the electricity that's coming from that control box. It controls everything. If you have a short fuse, if you have a lightning strike, if you have a squirrel that chews through a wire, all of a sudden that control panel, for lack of better terms, becomes deficient. And some of those appliances may frizzle out, some of your outlets may fry, you might lose full service to the house and have to call somebody out. But your system, all of a sudden, this fuse box isn't working properly because something has happened to it. So if you think of this endocannabinoid system like that control box, this ECS actually controls every single function in your body. So if you think about how many functions, different functions are in your body, there's immune, there's your endocrine, your pulmonary, your cardiac, your ocular, your dental, there's for your organs, it's for your hair, for your nails, for your teeth, it's for your immune, literally everything you can think of, your hormone system, everything in your body, all of these different functions, all need this endocannabinoid system to maintain and regulate it and keep it functioning, keep it working the right way. So what they found, this endocannabinoid system actually requires cannabinoids to function the right way. So I call cannabinoids the fuel source for your endocannabinoid system. So when your fuel for that system is removed from your diet, from your lifestyle, from your environment, that ECS, that endocannabinoid system becomes deficient. So what does that mean? When your endocannabinoid system becomes deficient, sorry, my phone's gonna beep. Your endocannabinoid system becomes deficient, it cannot grab you and say, hey, Timmy, you're deficient. I need some help here to work properly. Instead, it's going to give Timmy a whole barrage of different ailments, diseases, behavioral issues, all things that I cannot physically say the names of to be compliant as an affiliate with a CBD oil company. We are not allowed to say disease names, so I'm thinking you'll get the picture as far as what that means. If it's any kind of disease, if it's any kind of behavioral issue, if it's autoimmune issues, if it's pain and inflammation in the body, not only is it the endocannabinoid being deficient, but it also arises from the toxins in our environment, in our food, in our air, in our water, in our life, that contributes to the deficiency. So we actually make our own endocannabinoids. They're called endogenous cannabinoids, endocannabinoid. There's two types. One I believe is called edemadide, and I always say them wrong, but there's two different types that we make on our own, but our systems aren't strong enough to make the amount we need to have that endocannabinoid system function the right way. That is where phytocannabinoids or CBD, THC, all of these other cannabinoids from the hemp plant, that's where they come into place. So you introduce them back into anything with a vertebrae that has an endocannabinoid system, and that's how you start to see balance. I like to say it's like somebody gave me the analogy of the Tin Man on Wizard of Oz. All of a sudden he runs out of oil, he's in a rainstorm and he rusts up and he can't move. He can't move until you add the oil back into his body. He needed oil too, different kind, but he needed oil. You add that oil back in his system and he starts to be able to move and work the right way. That is your endocannabinoid system and how it functions. So that is why a dog with a dog with issues in his back end, some pain and discomfort, this oil can help that, as well as it can help a child that has raging behavioral disorder, different issues, sleeping issues, hormone imbalances, immune issues. That is literally how this works. So it's not a gimmick. It's not a snake oil. It will not make you high. It is, people ask me, well, do I have to take this the rest of my life? You should have been taking it all along. We just didn't know that. That's why it's so important to get education on this and make sure you understand why you're using this, why it's necessary. It will not hurt you. It's actually very, very good for you. But as far as, I just had somebody ask me today, if they start taking this, they want to give it to their 3-year-old. for behavioral issues, and they had wanted to know, well, will I have to keep him on it forever? That's kind of how this works. But the good thing is it's not like a pharmaceutical. Medications, synthetic drugs, things like that, we become dependent on them to where we can't get enough. Or if that one doesn't work, we try a different one, and then we add them all up and do all this other stuff to try to get a barrage of different pills in our systems to see how this works. This is so much different than that. This is literally something, I had somebody at a presentation I did that said to me, can I stop taking it when I feel better? My response to that in a very nice way was, if you go to a buffet and you stuff yourself to where you don't think you're going to be able to stand up at the end of the meal, does that mean you're never going to eat again? No, you're still going to eat. Your body still will need food. CBD oil is the same way. The good thing is with this, you can introduce it into your system, and I'll tell you how to do that the right way. So you can slowly introduce it into your system. Once you start to feel better and whatever you're using it for begins to subside, what you can do is scale back down and take less. I was taking 5 drops twice a day for about 4 months. I have a hormone imbalance. It is an actual syndrome that wreaked havoc in my body that, of course, I can't say the name of because that would be easy. I have severe disc issues in my neck from a car accident, and I have severe low back issues. I've had chronic pain for as long as I can remember, 19 years. I did the 5 drops twice a day, did it for 4 months, got everything working properly. Even the hormone imbalance, everything that was not working correctly got put back into check. I scaled back down, and I literally take the oil 2 to 3 times a week right now. Once a day, 2 to 3 times a week. That's it. I have maintained that neutral balance of everything working the right way. My system's working the right way. I sleep better. I have good energy. It's just how it works. So it's not something to where you can never get enough of it, and you always have to like up your serving amount and get more and more and more and up the milligrams. That's not how this works at all, which I think is fantastic. A lot of people don't know that. They've actually coined a term, endocannabinoid deficiency. It is in research books. So that is what they're calling when our system is so deficient and depleted and it's just not working the right way. A lot of times people will go into an MD's office and they can't even get a correct diagnosis because they don't know what's wrong. They're tracing a lot of this stuff back to this deficiency. So when you start to introduce CBD back into these bodies, you start to see these issues get restored, go back into check. That endocannabinoid system is in what we call a state of homeostasis, which means it's in balance. It means it's working correctly, which is what you want. So that is in my nutshell how this works, why they work together, the difference between hemp and marijuana, hemp seed oil. I'm reading over to see if I skipped anything. The other thing I always like to talk about in doing these presentations, because a lot of people don't know how to use this, which is 3/4 of the game. If you're not using it the right way, it's not going to work correctly for you. I cannot tell you how many times somebody calls me and says, the bottle said 20 drops is a full serving, so I took 3 the other day when I first started. Didn't tell me how many times I took 3. So the companies are not allowed to, the company itself cannot give out serving recommendations as a dietary supplement. It's against compliance. So that is what people like me do. It's my job to educate my consumers on how to use it properly. If you're buying this online off of Amazon, if you're buying it at a health food store, if you're buying it at pharmacies, 9 times out of 10, they are also not telling you how to use this correctly. I literally had a conversation today, my first one, with a nun from a convent. She bought CBD. I didn't know they even had email addresses and credit cards. Had no idea. She bought CBD from Amazon. There was no serving recommendations. She was using it for some pretty severe issues, and it didn't work for her. So I walked her through why it didn't work for her and how you really have to pay attention to how you're using it. So with this, how you use CBD, of course, I like analogies. I think they're easy to remember. They're easy to repeat. So my analogy for CBD, you have to start low and slow. A lot of people, we live in the United States, is in a country where bigger is better. So if you find a 3,000 milligram CBD, that's what you think you need. You're going to jump right on that and take 3,000 milligrams. Not how this works. If you give your body too much too quickly, it won't make you sick. But my analogy is if you find a stray animal on the side of the road that has not eaten anything for, a week or so, 2 weeks, it's skin and bones, it's extremely dehydrated, it's literally starving. are you going to go out and feed that dog a big fat plate of food right away? The answer is no. If you do that, its system isn't used to the nutrients. It doesn't understand what to do with them. And 9 times out of 10, that dog or that cat or whatever you found is going to throw up whatever you've just fed it. It can also just try to eliminate it, cause diarrhea, can cause some stomach cramping. It can actually do more harm than good. CBD is not that way in that sense where it won't make you sick, but it can actually work against your system to where it doesn't work at all. Or maybe if you're trying to introduce too much too quickly, if you think of this endocannabinoid system as this starving animal, it has not had this. If you've not tried CBD before, you've never had hemp in your system in your entire life, unless you were born before 1937. I did a presentation at an assisted living facility, and when I asked about being born before 1937, of course, everybody in the room, all 40 of them, yelled at me and raised their hands because they were all born before 1937, and I got scolded. So if anybody on here was born before 1937, you probably did have hemp in your system at one time. It has since been long eliminated unless you are already using CBD, then it is reintroduced. So you want to really start low and slow. They use 3 to 5 drops twice a day under your tongue. If you've got a good affiliate with a CBD oil company, they will send you a serving chart so you know how to start, you know how to follow it, you know how to build up to 20 drops only if you need to. You'll know how to go to a higher serving, only a higher concentration, only if you need to. I think that's extremely important, but you really want to start low and slow with this. In saying that, there's a lot of, the good news is with the 2018 Farm Bill being passed, it's federally legal now in all 50 states. State by state isn't quite there yet. There are a few states that aren't quite on the same bandwagon, but they will get there. So in the meantime, with it being federally legal in all 50 states, it's fantastic. However, because it's a dietary supplement, the FDA does not regulate it. So you have it everywhere. It is rampant since the passing of the Farm Bill. I am seeing it right now in everything from cigars, CBD-infused cigars, which blows my mind, water that's being infused and marketed as a hangover cure. It's in capsules, it's in gummies, Jelly Belly's coming out with a form of CBD. It's everywhere. It's in your food, it's in your beers, it's in your wines at the breweries. It will probably end up in shampoo and toothpaste and anything else, nail polish, anything else you guys can think of, which is the frustrating part to me. Coffee shops now have coffee lattes with CBD infusions. You can pay $3 for a shot of CBD. So my job, part of this video, first video, is to explain what's a gimmick, what's not, and how this needs to be used the right way. If you're truly using it to get the most optimal benefits from it, it goes as what we call a sublingual, which means under your tongue. So you take the drops, you put them right under your tongue, you let it sit for about a minute, you can swallow the excess, it absorbs into the membranes under your tongue and starts working right in your system. It goes to the receptors in the body that it needs to go to. These receptors are what regulate all those functions through the endocannabinoid system that we talked about. So you want it to go under your tongue. If your CBD oil is vaped, I get this all the time, mainly the younger generation about vaping CBD. If you vape what's called a full spectrum CBD oil, full spectrum CBD means all of those up to 120 cannabinoids are extracted and they're all in the plant, and they're all in your oil together. Every one of those cannabinoids has a set of receptors or a specific function in the body that they take care of. So full spectrum is literally the optimal way to use CBD and under your tongue if you ingest it. So if it's broken down from its natural state, which I'll get to in the next video, I think I've written down in video number 2. So if you're using that where it's broken down, if you're using it in a vape, if you're using it in the gummy form, candy form, in a spray, in a capsule, anything where it's literally going into your stomach and continuing on in your digestive tract, it gets broken down before it even reaches your bloodstream, before it even reaches the receptors it needs to go to. So if you are ingesting that, so it goes in your stomach, the plant does not like to be heated up. So if it's going in your stomach acid is, for lack of better terms, heating up that oil. It's breaking it down. Then it takes another 20, 30 minutes. It goes into your digestive tract. It continues to get broken down before it's absorbed into your system. So if you think you're taking 15 milligrams of CBD, if you're ingesting it that way, there's a really good chance you're not taking as much as you think you are, which is extremely deceptive because then people will call me and say, I tried it, it didn't work, and I will explain to them why it didn't work. I think that's very important. I'm trying to think. There's a lot of people right now that the coffee shops are really, really big. Well, I got a latte that was infused with CBD. Cool. It's not going to hurt you, and it does have health benefits to it. Coffee is not being heated up to over 360 degrees, so coffee will not break it down. If you're drinking coffee over the higher, heated up higher than 360 degrees, I'd love to hear about that because I don't think that's going to end very well. So if it's a typical traditional coffee and they're doing a CBD infusion, it's cool. In my opinion, it's a marketing gimmick. You can make a couple extra bucks off your consumer. They're getting a one-time punch of CBD. It is not going to go in and restore everything that needs to work the right way in a one-shot coffee-infused latte or CBD-infused latte. So not how this works. If you're giving your children gummies, gummies are incredibly difficult to get the serving right as far as how much CBD is in each gummy. That could be extremely confusing, especially if you're using it for behavioral issues, children, adults, pets, any kind of behavioral, a little revved up, is the way I would like to say without saying the actual word because I'm not allowed to. Any kind of revved up feeling that's just, a little too much activity, a little too much energy, a little lack of focus. If somebody like that is using CBD for that reason and they start off with too much too quickly, it can throw them into a tailspin behaviorally. So again, really important to know how you're using this and why you're using it. Michaela got me. So a lot of these gummies have so many ingredients. They're full of preservatives. They're full of artificial flavor and coloring. They're technically not good for you anyways. So then you call it a CBD gummy and all of a sudden now it's healthy. It's really not how this works. If it's a spray, same thing. It's going into your system. It's not going into the membrane like it needs to go to work the right way. So extremely important. Vaping, I mentioned. Capsules, same thing. People will ask me a lot about drug testing, so I think that's important to cover. So with drug testing, we do have the full spectrum. Like I said, it's got all of the cannabinoids in it, which THC is one of them. To be federally compliant and legal, you cannot have more than 0.3% trace of THC in your full spectrum hemp-derived CBD oil. I am with HempWorks. I haven't mentioned that, I don't think yet. I was going to do that in the next video, but I am with HempWorks. Ours has under 0.03% trace, not enough on its own to cause a high at all. There is no psychoactive effect from hemp whatsoever, but it is a tiny trace amount that gives you the entourage effect of all of the cannabinoids working together. That's what you want since they all have receptors that they're responsible for. If you are concerned about drug testing, we have a backup oil, what I like to call. It's called an isolate. The isolate means that only CBD has been isolated out of that plant, so you lose the other cannabinoids and their benefits, but you get the benefits of CBD and only CBD. So there's zero THC in the isolate. That is the difference between the full spectrum and the isolate or the THC free. I wasn't sure that they were going to work as well together because you really need the benefit of all of those cannabinoids to fix this system that's broken. I've gotten a ton of feedback from people taking the isolate and it's all good. They're getting the exact same response that they are from the full spectrum. So no concern there. The company that I'm with has a 60-day empty bottle money-back guarantee. That is not something that you're going to find at the health food store, at the pharmacy, at your doctor's office, at the box stores, anywhere else. It's one of the only companies that I'm aware of that gives that kind of guarantee on their product. I'm trying to think what else. You can use CBD oil topically. A lot of people don't know that. It does go right into your system if you've got joint issues, if you've got throbbing in your head that I'm not allowed to say the actual name for. You can do that. Literally anything. I've had people put it in their shampoo for their hair just to soften their hair. I put it on their face at night for their skin. If you've got skin issues, you can use it topically for that. And then the other one is medication interaction. People ask me all the time, is this safe to take with medications? The only medication I know of that could potentially have an interaction is blood thinners. And the reason being is that the oil can actually be a blood thinner as well. So something else you want to watch for. With medications, because CBD does like to detox our systems, it's really, really important to make sure if you're taking medications for any reason whatsoever, all reasons that I can't say what they're for, right? Take it an hour apart. And the reason that you want to take it an hour apart is because this CBD likes to detox our systems and it views pharmaceuticals as toxins. So if it's taken together at the exact same time, there's a really good chance it's going to eliminate those medications before they're absorbed into the system. And if it's something where, where you're taking something that could be addictive, it could be dependent, your body dependent on, and you're taking it at the same time as your oil, it can strip through your system and cause a detox effect or a withdrawal, and that's something that you want to avoid. So I always say an hour apart, before or after I see somebody asking when they can ask questions. You can ask them now, but I am going to keep talking because I have a ton to cover, and then I will get back through when I'm done tonight and go back around and answer any questions that I may have missed. So that is the first one. And I always want to mention too, I've had a lot of affiliates with my company, with HempWorks, share this event tonight. And it started off as just my personal event, just to educate people in general, but so many affiliates have shared this event tonight. I want to make sure that if somebody's interested in ordering product, when I get through everything tonight, that if you are working with an affiliate or you're friends with an affiliate or you know an affiliate, make sure you're following up with them to get your orders in. If you do not have an affiliate, feel free to message me and I will work with you 100%. But I want to make sure that I stress that, and I'm going to stress that in all 3 videos tonight, just to make sure I'm on the good side of the company and all of the affiliates that are out there. So that is kind of, in a nutshell, my video number 1. I've got my clock on the ground so I don't go over, just to make sure I'm keeping track. So my second video that I'm going to do is going to be how to find a good quality product. I'm going to show you comparable oils that are out there on the market right now. I use these in presentations all the time. I'm going to talk to you about what to look for in your oil, what should and should not be in there, what questions you need to be asking before you're purchasing. If you are not using HempWorks and you're using a different brand, I will at least educate you on knowing what to ask before you make your next purchase, because 9 times out of 10, there's stuff in your oil that should not be there. So that will be my next video. The third one I'm going to do will be about the business side and the products that we have to offer. Actually, I lied. I'll do products in the second video after I explain what's in them and everything. So I think that was it. I've got a ton of people on here. I hate to stop and start again, but I wanted to do 3 different videos. So if somebody only wanted to watch one section of the video, you don't have to sit on here all night long and wait for me to get to the business opportunity, or vice versa, to watch something else. So again, I am going to jump back on here literally right away. I'm going to rename it, the second one, and then I'll get started again. So if you guys are watching this later on a replay, go ahead and type in replay. If you have questions, even after the fact, when I'm done on this video, I will still go back through and answer them. If anybody out there has a YouTube account, I do have a YouTube account that I've just started. You can look me up. It's Jen Kerr CBD. I've got a couple videos pre-recorded that I put on there just to share information, so you guys can find me on there as well. So that is it. Okay, yeah, and dogs. So really, yeah, I'll mention that in the next one too, about pets and how they take this as well. So thanks you guys for watching video number 1. I will start with the second one in just a second. Thank you.